All right, it's 4 o'clock, so will get started here. For everyone who's just entering now, we are asking to introduce yourself in the chat. The features that this webinar has doesn't allow you to come off mute, so you can definitely introduce yourself or drop the name of the Uplift campus that you're here representing or that your scholar attends. We'd love to get a sense of who is here, who's joining us today. Um, Looks like we have North Hills parents here, and North Hills is represented largely. Summit's here. So welcome to the session. I'm sure that other parents will be joining, other families will be joining. So I'm going to give it about 60 more seconds, and then we will jump into the presentation. We have Grand. Uplift Grand is here. Summit Mom. Grand, welcome. All right. All right, so we will have other opportunities to engage and interact. And at the end, there will be a survey that you can share your feedback and at that time share what your thoughts are on the presentation. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started so that we can get to the meat and potatoes of today's presentation. So today's session, our first session, is going to represent the career development team on Uplift's Road to College and Career Department. So we're so excited to have you with us this afternoon as we approach the evening. Many of you know what the Road to College team is, and now we've added the career aspect. So the RTCC program here at Uplift Education is truly one of our gems, and our aim is to help prepare our scholars for a successful life after high school and through college, or an alternative post-secondary program and into their respective workforce or career paths. So I'm super, super happy to be here to tell you more about this new addition to the Road to College team and the career components that we have planned not only for this year, but in years to come. A little bit of background about Road to College and Career. We have dedicated teams and college counselors across each of our campuses. So every high school has a Road to College and Career department that supports scholar transitions, as well as we have a network of teams that support persistence, academics, and family involvement throughout our scholars' academic high school career and as well as their alumni experience. So that whole journey is represented and supported by a member of our Road to College and Career team. And so we work really closely together at the network level to support campuses in that work. And so this year we've added the career development team within that Road to College and Career office. And our goal is to ensure that our scholars and our alumni are also supported when they make connections with their academic journey and their long-term career goals after high school and college. So it's a very unique and very close to my heart. So I'm going to introduce what that team looks like and how we plan to shape some of that work. So as you see here, this is the career development team, myself, Hannah Hendricks, and Tia McLean. So I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of Corporate Relations and Career Services here within the RTCC team. We work together as a team to ensure that the career resources, programs, and opportunities exist for our scholars and our alumni in a variety of ways. And Hannah Hendricks, who will be speaking shortly about a lot of the programming and initiatives she's leading, she serves as the manager of career exploration and experience, and she has worked really extremely hard to develop very unique programming related to career exploration and experience. So learning, programming, and initiatives that will help your scholars develop a stronger sense of their career interests as they connect to their academic and long-term goals. So we know that students have larger success in college and beyond when they're able to persist with a long-term goal. So students who attend college or a post-secondary program or any workforce training, even the military, when it's tied to a long-term plan and outcome, they have a larger chance of persisting and completing that degree, completing that program, and being more successful in just their community and life. And so Uplift has brought this team in and brought my team in to really help tie those interests as they relate to a scholar's academic gain. So that's what Hannah's role is. And as I mentioned, she'll be telling you more about specifics later. And then Tia McLean, she is our manager of career services, and she supports our alumni. So as scholars transition from high school at their senior year, we still have an added layer of support that will help them as they change. We know, as many of us know, as you grow through life, your career interests change, your major changes, your ideas about what success means even changes, and what your purpose might even be developed as you grow. And so we have a team dedicated to persistence and helping scholars shape those career goals as they grow and mature. So Tia, Tia really supports the alumni with their job search, internships, and finding careers and preparing for them that relate to their interests in internships and jobs. And she will talk more about that later as well. So our main goals as a new department is to provide scholars with meaningful ways to experience careers across a broad spectrum of industries. We have various learning activities, programs, partners, and much more that help us do this work. So we are experts in so many ways of like developing programs and making connections, but we really want to build and establish partners that can act as mentors and leaders to support scholars as they develop that sense of their interests. And we know that it's super important that scholars see people in positions and in leadership roles that look like them and that they can envision themselves in being. You know, as you go through school, you see very common careers represented in your academics, in your curriculum, even in the media. And so there's so many jobs and so many careers that don't even get touched on. So our goal is to be able to bring this inclusive experience for all scholars to really relate what really means something to them, their values, their interests, their personalities, and what they're good at. And so they adapt and find careers that align with that. So with this new department, our network is committed to ensuring that our scholars and alum are equipped with resources and support that align all of those things. We know that each scholar's journey is unique, and we are committed to supporting whatever pathway they elect with an actual plan and resources to support that mission. So we know that even during a pandemic or chaotic times like that we're in, it's even more important that we acknowledge that and present alternatives and realistic supports that help them make plans so that they feel supported and comfortable making that journey through high school and beyond. We want all of our graduates to be confident and financially stable and feel comfortable in the post-secondary path that they choose, and then in return come back and impact their communities and ultimately the world. So we really are extremely passionate about this work. And so Hannah's going to touch on what we have planned for this year in terms of programs and initiatives, and we hope that you are excited to learn more.
All right, so we reached the goals that Camille talked about in a couple of different ways. On one side of the house is our K through 12 initiatives that really affect and impact our 9th through 12th grade scholars. And then on the other side is some of that alumni work with career services that she mentioned that Tia does. So on the 9th through 12th grade side of things, our CMO Central Management Office team works hand in hand with the RTCC campus teams to implement different initiatives and opportunities throughout the school year that will allow your scholar to really engage and explore different major and career options. And so, how we do that, Camille mentioned this earlier, but we do our programming and our initiatives using a VIPS-based approach. And so what that means is we try to focus everything starting with self-assessment first. So VIP stands for your values, your interests, your personality, and your skills. When we bring all those things together to encourage scholars to think just a little bit more critically and to make sure that they feel informed to be able to make some of those future choices and decisions that they're making during their senior year. And then after they graduate from Uplift, they then transition to that career services side of things with Tia McLean, where they will receive that one-on-one coaching and support. And that can look like a lot of different things. So it can be resume support, it can be job searching, help with interviewing. I think the best part about that transition is that they still have access to resources and to help and support all while they are an alumni. And then I'm going to transition. Let's see. Okay, so I mentioned how career exploration works from the 9th through 12th grade side of things, but I really do think it's best to see it and to experience what some of these opportunities look like. So last year we had the opportunity to do career trips with several of our high school campuses. And that is an opportunity where our scholars get to visit a DFW campus, a DFW company, explore the corporate headquarters, talk with industry professionals, and really have the opportunity to see what is it like to work at this company and to experience the careers that these professionals experience. So right now we're going to watch just a short video that will really help you to see what some of these opportunities are that we provide for your scholars.
When I first entered Omni Hotel, I went to the business route because I know that I want to do business. And so we explored what it takes to run Omni Hotel behind the scenes, and we explored like the rooms, and we talked about the prices and how that's arranged. And then afterwards we talked to the panel, and they talked about their journeys and emphasized on what to do and what not to do in college.
Luna in general is just like a college prep school. So when you think of college prep, you think of going on trips. So when you get out of college, it's more like, I already kind of saw what this was like when I was younger. I already know this isn't what I want to do. So it just let me know now that I will actually want to do what I want to do in life, which is to create my own business and potentially have my own hotel.
I gained a different perspective of the business field. I thought you go to the office and just sit there and write documents. However, like everyone comes together and work together is what makes Omni Hotel function. So I think that's something that I'm looking forward, and learning about what Omni Hotel does and giving back to the community is so important to them. And I know that that's what I want to do whenever I open my own business.
I like cooking, and I liked seeing different aspects of the kitchen and where everybody is, and going to the Omni was definitely different, since when you think of cooking you actually think of like real food and stuff like pastries and desserts. So just sitting there rolling the chocolate around and just finding different ways to put your topping on, it was just like, do whatever I can do whatever I want to do. I can make as many as I want. I was like, take it.
I think it's important that Luna does these career exposure programs because many students go to college not knowing what they want to do, and it's crucial for students to have these type of programs so that they can know what they want to do before they go to college. After going to this trip, like now I know what I want to do, and it serves as a motivation to pursue my goals in the business field.
Be sure to follow us on our social media pages for the
Okay, so I love that video because it shows just some of the different opportunities that our scholars got to experience when we took them to the trip to the Omni Hotel, but it also shows a little bit of the impact that experience had on them and some of the things that they learned through those experiences and those opportunities. So last year, we also had the opportunity for every single one of those career trips to survey our scholars and truly see what was the impact of that trip. How did that affect our scholars by participating in career exploration? So I have a little short quiz for you all. If you would follow the instructions on the screen and just answer the question of what percent of scholars said career exploration helped them learn about new career pathways. And I think Camille also dropped in a link. If you want to go to that link, you can vote that way too. If you think it was 50%, 72%, 96, or 89. And if for some reason it's not working for you, definitely you can drop it in the chat too. So let's see, it looks like 72% is what people are thinking. I'll give everyone maybe just a moment more if you want to go ahead and submit. Okay, so the correct answer is actually 96%. So for the three of you that were thinking 96%, and maybe those of you who didn't have a chance to enter in your guess, 96% of our scholars said that by participating in career exploration with Uplift, they actually learned about new career pathways. And that is one of our goals that we want to help scholars with. We want them to experience new things. And like Camille said, we want them to learn about those careers that maybe you don't always think of. So a lot of times our scholars will think about, I want to be a nurse, but there are so many different types of nurses that you can be in the future and in your career. So we try to expand just what is possible and showcase all of the different opportunities that are available to our scholars. And then I will click forward. Okay, so I do want to touch on what is actually available to your scholars this year. So I showcased some of the career trips that we took last year. Those are still going to be a possibility for your scholar this year. It will look a little bit different, just like most of our 2021 opportunities. They will all be hosted virtually this year. So that means that they will be either pre-recorded when we work with our corporate companies for different opportunities, which I'll touch on in a moment, or they'll be live. So very similar to this, where we'll have corporate companies and industry professionals hop onto a video platform like Zoom, and scholars will have the opportunity to engage and to explore different career opportunities with them that way. For our timeline, these opportunities that I'm going to be talking about in just a moment, they'll happen November through May. So for some campuses, you may start seeing some of these things for your scholars as early as November. For others, it may be throughout the school year and into the spring. The best way to find out when are these happening on my campus, or how does my scholar sign up for some of these experiences, is to really work with your campus RTCC team. They'll be the primary individuals who are going to be hosting some of these experiences and making sure that your students can sign up. So for 2021, those opportunities are listed right there, starting with career trips. So I mentioned that it will be a virtual experience. All of these will. For career trips, that really is going to be very similar to what you saw in that video. So scholars will have the opportunity to have a deep dive into a Dallas-Fort Worth company, where they're getting the chance to learn what that company does, who that company hires, and different career options at a company, as well as getting an office tour, and then also doing some sort of industry-based activity. So on the Omni trip, scholars had the opportunity to make desserts with one of their pastry chefs there in-house. And while this is going to be virtual this year, those opportunities will either happen at home if your scholar is learning that way, or in the classroom on campus. And then the next opportunity for this year are career speakers. And that's really one of my favorite ways to bring industry professionals into the classroom to speak to scholars about their career pathway and their journey. It really gives scholars the opportunity to ask questions and to learn a little bit more about careers that they may not have thought of. And so that'll also be happening virtually this year. And then new for this year is our case study challenges. So we will also be working with local Dallas-Fort Worth companies to come up with different industry-related problems. So let's say we are working with a marketing firm. We're going to work with that company to develop a problem that they're dealing with. So maybe that firm is trying to decide, how do I market this product to 18 to 24-year-olds? We'll then have that company present that problem to a class, a group of students, and they'll work to solve that problem and then present their solution back to the company for feedback and just to have that opportunity to connect. So we're really excited to have some of these real world experiences that really place the scholar right into the heart of what it means to be in that career. And then later on in the school year, we'll have our job shadow program, which will be in the late spring for our 11th grade scholars. And that program, the method that it'll be delivered is still tentative due to COVID-19. So it'll either happen in a traditional job shadow type of way where scholars are paired one-on-one with an industry professional to shadow them through their day-to-day and have that experience, or it will be a virtual experience where scholars can do more so of an informational interview where they get the chance to ask questions on a one-on-one basis, get feedback, and really learn a little bit more about a specific career that they're interested in. And then lastly, in January, all of our high school campuses will be hosting a career week at the end of the month in January, where the entire campus is going to spend that time focused on career exploration. And they're going to do activities and different fun opportunities to explore and engage in careers and have that just really take over the week where scholars and classes are really focused on what different careers scholars might be interested in and how that relates to their skills or what they value and different things like that. So these are some of the opportunities that are coming for 2021 for your scholar. And like I mentioned before, it will take place November through May. And the best way to find out about when specifically for my campus would be through your campus RTCC team. And then I will turn it back over to Camille.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Hannah. I just want to reiterate how excited we are to be rolling this programming out this year. We've experienced career trips as a network in different ways throughout the past few years, but really being intentional about how that connects to college and even life beyond college, or even if it's a post-secondary pathway, a workforce training program, the military. Uplift is really committed to ensuring that we offer these opportunities for scholars to be critical and thinking about that connection and that work. And so we are so happy that you are here representing your scholars and able to learn more about it because it is new. And we do, as Hannah mentioned, work closely with campuses. And so if you have an industry or a scholar that's interested in a particular industry, I should say, that you really want them to explore or they have questions about, we truly encourage you to have those conversations, to reach out to us. Our email is here listed, careerservices@uplifteducation.org, and put that action behind it. And we are dedicated to having that relationship with families and scholars to where they feel comfortable asking, hey, I want a particular industry, I'm interested in a particular career trip, or I would love to have an internship at a company that does X, Y, and Z, because it really challenges us and pushes us to be more aware of what our scholars' interests are. You know, I think over the years, we've seen how the economy and how jobs have changed tremendously. And so oftentimes being able to name what you're good at or what you like as a career is kind of lost on us. And you'd be surprised how many times I've spoke with a scholar or a student who didn't realize that something they really like to do is actually a skill that they could earn a salary doing, or have run a business, or just create and develop and grow as leaders in the community. And that's our ultimate goal. So we have a survey that we would love for you to take, but we also want to give some time for questions, thoughts, comments. Again, we're a new department, and so any feedback that we receive is very important as we grow. But I'm going to give us a few minutes. There's no ability to come off mute. So if you can drop any questions in the chat, we'll give you time to do so, and we can answer them that way. There's also a Q&A box too, if you have. Or if there's any slides or information that you wanted us to go back and repeat or refer to, we can definitely reiterate or expand there as well. So it looks like there's a question: what colleges are represented in these trips? So our trips are specifically related to careers and industries or post-secondary programs. And so there are still college trips that Uplift will, in fact, we're at the College and Career Fair where they get to engage with reps and learn more about the college. Our trips are specifically related to particular career paths. So the trips look like businesses or offices or workplaces that a particular individual might work at. And then the scholars are exploring that facility or that career or that industry. And as they work with their college counselors on campus, they then are able to make a connection between, you know, they might want to explore engineering, for example, and they're making decisions about colleges based on a career experience or a career trip they had. So they can locate a college that has a really strong engineering program. That's kind of our full circle hope, is that they're able to make that connection. So do they show like Texas A&M? So Texas A&M, I'm not sure if that's a career, or excuse me, a college trip that we will be taking or we've taken. But in a college search process, they are able to research Texas A&M and research the admissions and connect with reps. We are, again, moving things virtual this year, so a lot of the college exploration will be virtual as well. And our hope with our team is that for scholars interested in a school like Texas A&M, they're able to locate a major or program that they're really interested in when they make those decisions. I believe it's around 75 or 80% of students, college students, that go into college with a major or career in mind. They have an 80% higher chance of graduating. as opposed to students who go in just without a plan or without a degree or major in mind or a career in mind. Same thing with internships. So we want students to have a college entrance plan in mind, but also an exit plan. And we believe that careers are a way to influence that. Yes, we will have everything emailed and be on YouTube tomorrow, as Aaron just stated. So thank you for that question.
Camille or Hannah, could you also maybe speak to the career trips or maybe a career panelist where industry partners or industry professionals may also speak to their college experience and how it connects to that particular career industry?
Yes. So last school year at Williams, we did a career speaker series for 10th grade scholars there. Every single 10th grade scholar had the chance to hear from a variety of different professionals, from attorneys to financial analysts to, gosh, so many people. But a part of that experience was showcasing, okay, this is your career now, but how did you get there? Did you immediately go to college? What was your major? Did that change over time? And I think that is a part of the beauty of bringing people into campus, is having the opportunity to show that your career path is not always linear, and that you may go into college with one major, or you may experience something down the road that really hones your interest, and allows that to take shape and transform. And so that was definitely something that happened at that speaker series, and that does happen when we bring in individuals to speak with our scholars. And then I think there's a question about how do we know which colleges are available to go to after they graduate, and that really happens on your scholar's campus. And it looks like Sarita just dropped in some information about working with a college counselor, and that's definitely the best way to work through developing a college list and figuring out where you may want to apply, and going through that entire process.
I also see a question about summer internships. So that's definitely our department. And one of my main goals this year is to expand our internship program. So in the past, we've had various connections throughout the city, or DFW, the region, in the different departments through the mayor's internship, and otherwise where still certain scholars were able to apply for internships and have that experience. And we really want to expand that this year. In fact, this summer, we had the ability to hire 18 interns across our administrative CMO network, as well as externally at a local credit union. And so one of our alum was actually hired on after that internship, and they'll be hiring 2 next summer. And so that is something we are working to develop as an uplift exclusive opportunity for alum to take the funds and take the opportunities that we have with our partners and really give scholars that hands-on experience. What was lovely about it this summer is that although our relationships with our partners has gotten strong, and they've really become a part of our team. And what that means is they were able to pivot from having an in-person internship in this climate to a remote internship. And they really supported that alum in that process and offered her the experience and the technology that she needed to be successful. And I truly believe that had it not been for our partnership with that credit union, she may not have been able to secure that internship so quickly and pivot so quickly. And so that's a huge push for our team this year, is to ensure that these partnerships we form and these speakers that come and present are also committed to a lifelong or a longer term experience, I should say, a longer term experience that supports scholars actually say, I really like this career. I really want to use this on my resume and use it in my future. So yes, to your question. When is the best time to apply? Also, is it better for parents to do the loan than students because of interest charge? Okay, so I think your question, Natalie, is there's a financial aid session. So everyone who's here, sometimes the chat gets backlogged. And so there is a financial aid session coming right after ours. And so please stay on because Ms. Pritchett is going to go over the details about loans and the college application process as she's dropped in the chat, July 1st through November 1st. So we started with career connections and career exploration, but we will definitely touch on the loan process after this and financial aid.
Yeah, thanks so much, Camille. So guys, if you're interested in the college application process and have questions about college, definitely tune in at 5 when we get started on the financial aid process and what that looks like from beginning to end. But also, if you do have a few questions about the college application process, that's fine also. To let you guys know, at every single Uplift campus, our goal is to ensure that you guys not only have guidance about careers, about internships, but we want you to make sure that you have options as well with colleges. So please, please, please go see your college counselor at your particular campus if you have not already. They are a resource. They're ready and willing to assist you. So definitely you want to introduce yourself so that they can assist you with building your college list if you haven't done so already. But just to answer your question, Natalie, the application process did start July 1st, and most deadlines are coming up very, very soon. So you want to talk to your counselor about what you're going to need to be successful with that. So the next question says, do you have to be a senior or junior in order to apply? So if your child can apply currently as a junior, some institutions will allow it, but most will not. Most require that you are a senior, but there are some programs that will allow your junior to do what's called a virtual fly-in, and I can talk to you more during the next session. A virtual fly-in allows your scholar to see the campus, and usually, you know, pre-COVID, your scholar would have the chance to go visit the campus and get a feel for what it's like. But, you know, all things considered, they're offering virtual programs to allow your scholar to not only visit, but ask great questions. And then sometimes there are opportunities that allow them preference in their application process. They will be looking at your scholar next year just based on them attending those virtual programs. So you definitely want to check them out and just plan early. So Jacob's mom, or AKA Natalie, great question. It's great that you're preparing right now, but definitely see your college counselor.
And I realized we had a question in the Q&A box that was answered. So Ms. Cheng, if you noticed that response in the chat box, thank you, Robert, for answering that. And yes, just to say out loud, business was featured in the video, and it is one of the industries that is growing. And so we definitely encourage scholars to explore careers related to business. But yes, the medical field, computer field, STEM fields, we are definitely touching on multiple industries, especially those that have the growth potential. As we know, the economy and the world is changing, and so a lot of jobs that existed when we were younger or when we were in high school won't even exist for them. And so we are super intentional about industries not only related to what they like and what their interests are, but really also related to what exists and what's a realistic plan and a way that they can actually earn a salary that is comfortable and that they can feel like they can travel and raise a family and experience life in a way that they deserve, right? So those fields are super at the top of our list. And in terms of COVID, the question, what challenges in implementing our programs and how are we addressing those challenges? I can touch on it, but I definitely I think Hannah is the expert there. She's been working relentlessly to build out this virtual programming, and that is the main challenge, is that career exploration has been hands-on in the past. And so we have to be innovative in how we think about meaningful experiences that not only impact the scholars, but the people doing them, because the virtual world is it can be taxing on your eyes, on your body, on your efforts. And so we want to be able to give scholars an experience that they feel confident about. But I'll let her touch on like specifically like that virtual programming, and maybe your vision for how that might be addressed.
Yeah, so we are definitely transitioning everything like Camille said. We're actually in the midst of working with our corporate partners now to identify, the different opportunities that they want to sign up for with our campuses. And I think what that looks like this year is really trying to make it engaging. If you are in a job right now that's virtual and meeting through Zoom, it does get tiring. And so we are really working to find different ways to make sure that scholars are active throughout those virtual sessions and engaging with our partners, and that they have the chance to ask questions, and that there are virtual activities that are happening over Zoom. Our partners are very excited to work with our scholars. They're excited each year, and they want this to be a meaningful experience no matter how it happens. That's something that they say on almost every call that we get on with them, is how do we make sure this is meaningful and impactful for your students. And so it is going to look like a lot of opportunities like this. Well, maybe not similar to this, because we can't see you guys and you can't take off your mic and talk back to us, but opportunities where that is possible, because the magic of career exploration is that you get to meet with people that you may not have been able to just meet with in your classroom. And so we're still going to, at the heart of what we're doing this year, have that included, and still make sure that your scholars get that opportunity this year too. And then we did just drop in a survey. So if you do have feedback or extra thoughts for us, definitely take that and let us know. Again, like Camille said, we're a fairly new department, so we're always excited to see and to hear feedback and different thoughts on what we have planned.
It looks like a question came in: how many colleges will scholars be applying to through school versus should we be applying outside of school? And Sarita, if you want to answer that. I know it's different for every scholar depending on their pathway. So if you have any advice or thoughts on that, definitely.
Absolutely. Thanks, Camille. So welcome, Guillermo. Thank you for jumping in. What I would that you do, just as I stated earlier, you want to meet with your college and career counselor at your Uplift school, and they will give you more information depending on your pathway. The majority of the time, we have our scholars, if they pursue the traditional route of 2-year or 4-year, pursuing a 2-year or 4-year institution, we recommend about between 6 and 10. But if you're considering the military or just going into the workforce, that may change how many you apply to outside of school. So if you'd like to just send a private message, or in the question and answer Q&A chat section, you're welcome to, depending on what you're considering. But as Camille stated earlier, that really all will depend on what pathway you're considering. If you're considering the traditional route, or if you're considering pursuing the workforce or the military.
And to reiterate or even make a connection there, I would say one thing you could be doing outside of school is having your child or your scholar thinking about what those schools, like what would their majors be, what are their interests as they apply, and that might just help determine some of the numbers on the outside. So an example is if a scholar is really committed to nursing or a particular field or industry, they might want to be thinking about schools outside of their school, like Day with Uplift. What schools are really known for that, or what schools are really strong in that area, and they can do some of that research online so that when you do visit with your college counselors on campus or attend transitions courses, you can have somewhat of an idea of the colleges or the experiences that you want to have there. And so that's something that they can do on their own outside of school too. And thank you, Sarita. The scholarships and financial aid will be at 5 o'clock. So we'll be starting shortly. I know that is a super hot topic, especially with the deadline coming up. And so we are gonna leave the chat open for any questions in our contact here. And if you all just hold tight, we're gonna let some more parents trickle in since it starts at 5. And in the meantime, we can leave the chat open and answer any questions that do come up to the best of our ability.
We have a question in the Q&A where someone asked, when is the expected timing of the activities related to career and job exploration to help the scholar decide what career path, I guess, they like to pursue prior to college applications?
So the timing is, are you pulling, oh no, I thought Hannah was pulling up the slide. So the timing for the activities depends on which activity. So career trips or virtual career trips and like the career assessment piece where they're taking an assessment that will help them identify those values, interests, and personality and skills. Though that will start earlier in the school year, if not their junior year. So we want them to start thinking about that even sooner, but their junior year is really when Road to College and Career starts. And then in terms of the trips that are going to be virtual, we're hoping in the speaker series, we're hoping to roll those out shortly in October and November, and then they'll run through the spring, halfway through the spring. And then job shadowing and career week will also be in the spring. And there are questions about scholarships. The UTD scholarship and private trips. So for those questions, I keep deferring to Sarita. She's the master there. She's one of our college counselors at Uplift Hampton. And so the scholarship piece will be touched on shortly. So if you're able to stay or if you're not able to stay, just please let us know and she can touch on that a little bit further. In terms of trips, I'm not sure, Sarita, if you're touching on college trips.
Yeah, well, we will be heavily focused on financial aid. And so, Stalin, to answer your question, there is a special UTD scholarship. There are many different types of institutional scholarships, but I'll tell you more at 5, so just tune in then. But as far as private trips, what many institutions have, they're called fly-in programs. We know that many scholars want the opportunities to visit their dream schools, and they might be out of state. And so that isn't always an opportunity that scholars have the chance to do. So many institutions will provide opportunities to fly in to their particular campus. And so in order to do that, they would have to be admitting scholars, and most institutions are not. You know, just with regard to safety precautions and COVID-19 policies. However, what many institutions are offering instead are virtual fly-in programs. And so depending on what institution you're interested in, you can definitely just type in the search bar virtual fly-in program and they can give you more information if they offer it. I can also tell you College Greenlight is a great resource to determine if the school offers a private trip or a virtual fly-in. So I'll go ahead and type that in the chat for you, but it's collegegreenlight.com. You can find more information. So thank you for asking.
There's one more question in the Q&A, Hannah. If you want to, could you re-explain like what our version of job shadowing looks like, maybe virtually and in person, the differences?
Yes. So for us, job shadowing in person, if that is possible in March when we sort of launch that program, that would be where scholars are completing an application with their RTCC campus team, so their college counselor or their academic counselor to participate. And then they would do a one-on-one shadow experience where we are taking them almost field trip style to a company that they're interested in, and they get to shadow the day with a professional in a career that they could potentially see themselves in. If at that time in March we have to do it virtually, then it will be where we still are pairing them off one-on-one with someone that is in a career that they're interested in, but it would be more of an informational interview where we will work with the scholar to create questions that they want answered, and then they'll have the opportunity to do a phone call or a Zoom chat with that professional and ask those questions and get a little bit more in-depth look that way about what that career could look like for them. And then let's see, I see a question about like careers in mind that could be shadowed. So really we're right in the middle of sort of deciding some of those things. Our goal with all of these opportunities is to have a really, really wide range of careers and experiences. So that way it's not all heavily leaning towards one area. So I know we showed, the video earlier of a trip that was pretty business focused, but really are the careers that we showcase, the people that we bring in every single time, we want to make sure that there are a variety of opportunities. And then we also work with college counselors on the campus to get the scholar interest, career interest beforehand. So that way we know, okay, at Hampton, their seniors, here's the breakdown of the careers and majors that they're potentially interested in. And then we match that with who we choose to bring into the campus. So that way it lines up with who your scholars are interested in.
And I just want to highlight again, Hannah did mention the different services for the various grade levels in the chat. And so I just want to loop this back to the question that was asked about, what is the timeline for scholars to have these experiences, as we know that may impact their college and career decision-making process and just what that journey will look like. And so there are opportunities for all grade levels in high school that can help serve and inform, that the scholar's interest when it comes to choosing a college and/or a career.
Definitely, and it does look like almost a bell curve where a lot of those experiences are happening 10th and 11th grade to really provide time for them to explore, learn a little bit more before they move into some of those critical college conversations with their college counselor.